chapter 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah stay and staff, every stay of bread and every stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the diviner and the elder, the captain of 50, the man of rank, and the counselor, and the cunning charmer, and the skilful enchanter. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall oppress one another, every man his fellow, and every man his neighbor. The child shall behave insolently against the aged, and the base against the honorable. For a man shall take hold of his brother, of the house of his father. You have a mantle, be you our ruler, and let this ruin be under your hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor mantle. You shall not make me ruler of a people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have worked evil unto themselves. Say you of the righteous, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the work of his hand shall be done to him. As for my people, a babe is their master, and women rule over them. O my people, they that lead you cause you to err. They destroy the way of your paths. The Lord standeth up to lead, and standeth to judge the peoples. The Lord will enter into judgment with the elders of his people, and the princes thereof. It is you that have eaten up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean you that you crush my people, and grind the face of the poor, saith the Lord, the God of hosts? Moreover the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will lay bare the secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their anklets, and the fillets of their crescents, the pendants and the bracelets and the veils, the head tires and the armlets, and the sashes and the corslets and the amulets, the rings and the nose jewels, the aprons and the mantlets, the cloak and the girdles, and the gauze robes and the fine linen, and the turbans and the mantles. It shall come to pass that instead of sweet spices there shall be rottenness, and instead of girdle rags, and instead of curled hair baldness, and instead of stomacher a girding of sackcloth, branding instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and utterly bereft shall she sit upon the ground. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, yesterday, God was proclaiming now that they had gone astray, and he said that you will go hide from the Lord your God into the clefts of the rocks for these things that you've done and for what you've done. And we know this was the beginning now of when the king of Babylon was coming into the land, and he was going to carry Israel off. God was going to punish them greatly, as God is punishing now all the earth and all the nations of the earth for their sin as well, making a great example even of this end time. Verse 1, for behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah stay and staff, every stay of bread and every stay of water. And Jerusalem is that place of peaceful teachings, and Judah is these praisings that go forth, for God is punishing now. And this was even the prophecies of the things that was to come. And first thing God's going to do, because they have declared war against God, they have presented themselves as an army against God, and we find that out because that's the way God sees this, as these men that have raised up now, set up something against God. They have declared war. They have presented themselves as if they're ready to battle. God. And God says, I'll take away stay and staff. And stay is these things that we are dependent on, these things that we've laid up in store even, that we can stay on, that we can survive on in case things get tough. And staff is that which you lean on. So staff is that thing. It's like an alternative strength, or it's your leadership. It becomes like the staff of the leader or the shepherd. God's going to take both of them away. The mighty man too, and the man of war, the judge, and the prophet, and the diviner, and the elder. So God's taken out the leadership, and we're going to find out now, once the leadership's gone, it's going to be kind of hard for your army to hold up. 3, the captain of 50, the man of rank, and the counselor, and the cunning charmer, and the skillful enchanter. God's taken them out from the top down, and we find out that everyone, the prophet, the elder, the diviner, your captains of 50, these are your elders right around where you're at. The man of rank, anybody around there who you think's important, the counselor, cunning charmers. These cunning charmers are these ones that love to stand up there and talk. The skillful enchanter. These are even those that think they're called. 4, and I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And here this is the children, and these babes are the sucklings and the young. They don't have no understanding. How can they run a country? How can they run a people, seeing they are children and have no understanding? 5, and the people shall oppress one another, every man his fellow, and every man his neighbor. The child shall behave insolently against the aged, and the base against the honorable. And so it is, and this is the degradation of society, is what we see. See, God's took away understanding. There is no understanding. Why? Well, you've went against the law of God. And when you go against the law of God, you go against understanding, and you don't have none. It's just that simple. And then you become like a baby. You're going backwards. See, you're going backwards away from God. You're going backwards away from the right way to go, and going towards ignorance, going toward the lack of understanding. So you're going backwards instead of maturing in life. You're getting younger. You're becoming like children, fighting, trying to take away that even things that don't belong to you, snatching. See, this is the way the world has become. And the people do oppress one another. Every man is fellow. Every man is neighbor. And the children, they do behave insolently against the aged. Anybody who does have understanding. And the children are proud. They act proudly. They act like they know more than everybody else. And nobody's taught them anything. And these base, these are the evil ones, even against the honorable, because they do make the way for themselves to cheat and lie and steal, making it lawful now even to steal and exact. 6, for a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father. You have a mantle, be you our ruler, and let this ruin be under your hand. So there's nobody going to be, and what this mantle is a covering. See, this is a covering of some sort, an outer garment. See, why? Well, be something to cover your nakedness and hide yourself, because we're going to find out what God's doing is he's stripping down and making bare. He said he was going to do this. Stripping down and making bare. 7, in that day he shall swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor mantle. You shall not make me ruler of a people. And this is what he's going to tell him. Hey, I can't be nobody that heals. I ain't a binder up. There's no way I can restore. For I ain't got no bread or nothing to wear either. God's done it to everybody. He said he was going to. See, bread, there's no food here. Mantle, there's no covering here. I've got nothing to give you to hide your nakedness. There's no place to hide. 8, for Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. So Jerusalem's ruined. Judah's fallen. See, these are the examples now. Jerusalem, that great city even of these praisings going forth, this place of peaceful teaching. Why were they ruined? Because of their tongue, and their doings are against the Lord. Well, for what they've been teaching, what they've been talking. They've been teaching idolatry. God's making an example. 9, the show of your conscience does witness against them, and they declare their sin is Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto your soul, for they have worked evil unto themselves. And that's what we see today. You can't hide it. Your conscience does show in the earth. Well, now see, you took the part you wanted to play the part. You were unable to do the job. You were unable now to parent the children. Why? Well, it wasn't your job. You tried to take it away. And now it shows in society. Woe unto you. 10, say you of the righteous, that it shall be well with him. For they shall eat the fruit of their doings, and they do. And we see this now, what's going to happen to them. See, God said he was going to turn this around. Do you think you can do evil in a house of God and get away with it? 11, woe unto the wicked. It shall be ill with him, for the work of his hands shall be done to him. You thought you'd lay a snare, and God's laid a snare for you. See, God's laid a snare for you. 12, as for the people, a babe is their master, and the women rule over them. O my people, they that lead you cause you to err, and destroy the way of your paths. They teach you not the law, but the traditions of men. Look up, see this, look not unto the law. They're like women and weak. God has made them weak before you. Woman from man, and it is made from those things that cause a man to be weakened in life. This is what God did. This is the example God made. You may not like it. That's up to you. Babe is their master. The suckling child is their master. Why? Well, nobody else has any understanding. Let him suckles. He may have more understanding than these. 13. The Lord stands up to plead and stands to judge the peoples. Don't nobody see this? See what's going on? God's done this. And he's standing up to plead now. He's judging with his law. The Lord will enter into judgment with the elders of his people, and the princes thereof. It is you that have eaten up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. So now God's going to stand up and judge. And what does he see, and what does he find out? His judgment now is against the elders of his people, those that are over, those that have took the position of. See, there, it's you who have eaten up. It's you that have exacted. You've taken up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. Where's that portion I gave to them? You eat it up. 15. What mean you that you crush my people, and grind the face of the poor, saith the Lord, the God of hosts? What is this that you do? Who told you to do this? For your own gain? You grind the face of the poor into the dust of the earth. Moreover, the Lord said, 16, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Who? The daughters of Zion, these that come from the marriage. See, God made an example then, and he's making an example now. They walk with their stretched forth necks, thinking they're a little bit higher than everybody else. Their wanting eyes, looking, seeing what they can take and what is they desire, mincing as they go, like a harlot with the tinkling of their feet. 17. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will lay bare their secret parts. And this is what God did. He did smite the daughter of Zion, and he did lay bare their secret parts. See, because God does perform his word, and we're going to find out this was all an example. Why? Because when the Lord did this, when the Lord did now, and caused her to sit there in the dust, like we're going to find out, they laughed at her, and they shouldn't have done that. They tried to look upon her, and they shouldn't have done that. See, so we're going to find out that God's going to turn this. These transfers of power are up to God. God does this, and he's proven it through time. 18. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their anklets and the fillets and the crescents. See, God's going to take away all these little jewels, these wrappings, these jewelry, these things that make you known. All these things that you have put upon yourself to make you desirable. God's taken them away. 19. The pendants and the bracelets and the veils. This jewelry. These things you wear to remind you, and these things you hide behind. 20. The head tires and the armlets and the sashes and the corselets and the amulets. Stripping you down. 21. The rings and the nose jewels. This is evidence of your bondage. 22. The aprons and the mantlets and the cloaks and the girdles. All your coverings. All those things he gave you to cover your nakedness. And the gauze robes, the fine linen, the turbans and the mantles. These outer garments. These fine linens that even you put upon your loin. These gauze robes, maybe even this mirror, these things you look in, and even to see your beauty. You admire yourself more than we. 24. It shall come to pass that instead of sweet spices there shall be rottenness, instead of girdle rags, and instead of curled hair baldness, and instead of a stomach or a girding of sackcloth, branding instead of beauty. God's turning it around, see. Turning it around. The wheel does go round, though. Now, it does roll. The wheel's going around. See, and this happens in a moment. It builds up. It's like a dam building up. And with it, the anger of God. And then the breaking forth. This breaking forth releases the flood and the understanding of everything. You build yourself up till it's made known. You're looking better and better, getting sweeter and sweeter and greater, and the whole world does suffer more. Seems to be something wrong with it, don't you think? 25, your men shall fall by the sword, and you're mighty in the war. In the what war? In this war God's going to make. It's this war you've challenged the Lord now. You said, I'm mightier than the Lord. I'll come down and do battle with God. Put your armor on. 26, and her gates shall lament and mourn and utterly bereft. She shall sit upon the ground. There she shall sit and cry. But we're going to find out. See, God's going to transfer this. Whew. Before we get done with Ishaiah here. See, God's going to twist this around. This is the daughter of Zion sitting here now. She's crying, and she's going to pay for what God done. But now, we're going to find out this daughter of Babylon, she's going to take her place here before it's all over. She's going to be the one sitting here crying. See, well, this was the prophecies from the beginning. It's the same story. See, nothing's going to change. The wheel's going to go round. All right, let's continue on to chapter 4.